Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good evening, everyone. Today, I would like to tell you about my first impression of Kampung Inggris Pare and my experience studying at PC. Before I came to Pare, I had heard many things about Kampung Inggris. I heard that Pare is a place where many people come to learn English. I also heard that there are many English schools here. And students usually practice English not only in the classroom but also in their daily activities. Because of that, I became serious about this place. I wanted to know what Kampung English was really like. I also wanted to improve my English, especially my speaking skill. So when I finally decided to come to Pare, I had mixed feelings. I was excited because I would have a new experience, but at the same time, I was nervous because I knew that I would meet many new people and use English almost every day. I also thought about my English ability. I asked myself, can I speak English confidently here? Can I understand what my teacher says? Can I communicate with my friends? Those questions were in my mind before I came here, but I told myself that I came here to learn. I did not come here because my English was already perfect. I came here because I wanted to improve. So I decided to be brave and time. Okay, my first arrival in Pare. When I first arrived in Kampung Inggris, my first impression was very interesting. I immediately noticed that the atmosphere was different from my hometown. I saw many students around the area. Some students were walking, some were riding motorcycle or bicycle, some were going to their class, some were sitting in cafe and practicing English with their friends. I also saw many course institutions, food stalls, cafe and boarding house. At that moment, I thought, wow, this really is Kampung English. I felt that almost everyone here had the same purpose. They wanted to learn something, especially English. The environment made me excited. I felt that I was in the right place to learn English. Another thing that surprised me was hearing people speak English in their daily activities. At first, I felt a little strange. I was used to hearing intonation every day, but here I could hear English conversation around me. Sometimes I understood them, sometimes I did not. But I thought it was a good thing because if I stayed here for some time, I would have more opportunities to listen to English. I believe listening is also very important when learning a language. Okay, my first impression of BC. After arriving in Pare, I started my course at BC. Before my first class, I felt excited and nervous. I wondered what the class would be like. I also wondered I also wondered what my teachers and classmates would be like. When I met my classmates for the first time, most of them were strangers to me. When came from different places, we came from different places and had different backgrounds, but we had one thing in common. We wanted to improve our English. On the first day, I was still a little shy. I shy? Serious? I was afraid of making mistakes when speaking English. Sometimes I knew what I wanted to say in Indonesian, but I did not know how to say it in English. Sometimes I knew the vocabulary, but I forgot it when I started speaking. I think this is one of the biggest problems for English learners. We know the words, but when have to speak. uh, suddenly our mind becomes empty. I also experienced that, but after I joined the class, I realized that I did not need to be afraid. My teacher gave us opportunity to practice. My classmates also practiced together, and I realized that everyone made mistakes. Not only me, that that made me feel better. I start I started to understand that making mistakes is a normal part of learning English. Okay, next, my experience in the classroom. For me, studying at BC is not only about sitting in the classroom and listening to the teacher. We also have to participate. We have to answer questions. We have to practice conversations. We have to speak in front of our friends, and sometimes we have to do things that make us uncomfortable. At first, speaking in front of other people was difficult for me. I sometimes felt nervous. My heart could beat faster. I could forget simple vocabulary, and sometimes I was thinking too much about grammar. I thought, is my sentence correct? Is my pronunciation correct? Will my friend understand me? But I learned something important. If I always think about making a perfect sentence, I will become afraid to speak. So I started to change my mindset. I told myself, it is okay to make mistakes. It is okay if my grammar is not perfect. The important thing is that I try. After that, I became more comfortable. I started speaking more. Maybe my English is still not perfect, but I feel that I'm improving. Next, meeting new friends. Another important part of my experience in Pare is meeting new friends. Before coming here, I did not know most of the people in my class. But after spending time together, we started to know each other. We studied together, we practiced speaking together, we helped each other, and of course, we also laughed together. Sometimes our mistakes become funny moments. For example, someone wanted to say something in English but used the wrong word. Instead of loving at that person, we usually help each other. I think that is one of the good things about studying in an English environment. We can learn from each other. We can learn new vocabulary from our friends. We can learn different ways to say something. And we can also learn how to communicate with different personalities. For me, these friendships are an important part of my experience here. Next, the environment in Kampung Inggris. I really like the environment in Kampung Inggris. The environment makes me feel motivated. When I see other students studying, I also feel motivated to study. When I hear people speaking English, I want to practice speaking English too. I feel like English is everywhere. We can practice English in class, we can practice with our friends, we can practice when we meet new people. Even simple conversations can become opportunities to practice. For example, we can ask someone, where are you doing? What class do you have? Have you eaten? Or what are you doing? These are simple questions, but they can help us become more comfortable speaking English. I think this is what makes Kampung English special. English is not only something we study, English becomes part of our daily life. Next, living away from home. From home. Another experience that I have here is living away from home. For me, this is also a learning experience. When we live at home, maybe our family can help us with many things. But when we live in a boarding house, we have to take care of ourselves. We have to manage our time, we have to prepare our own things, we have to think about food, sorry. We have to clean our room, we have to make sure that we wake up on time. We also have to prepare ourselves before going to class. Sometimes it is tiring. Sometimes Sometimes I miss my home, my family, but I think this experience makes me more independent. I learned that being independent is not always easy, but it is important. I believe that learning to live independently will be useful for my future. Okay, next, my biggest challenge. Of course, my experience in Pare is not always easy. I still have many challenges. One of my biggest challenges is speaking English spontaneously. Sometimes I understand English when someone speaks to me, but when I have to answer immediately, I need time to think. Sometimes I translate Indonesian into English in my phone. Because of that, my speaking becomes slower. I know that I need to reduce this habit. I want to think more directly in English. I also need to improve my vocabulary. Sometimes I know the meaning of a word, but I cannot remember the word when I need it. So I try to learn new vocabulary every day. I also try to use vocabulary in sentence because I believe that remembering a word is not enough. We also need to know how to use it. Okay. Next, another challenge is confidence. Sometimes we know the answer, but we are afraid to say it. I think confidence is very important when learning English. If we are too afraid of mistakes, we will not practice. And if we do not practice, our English will not improve. So now I'm trying to be more confident. What I have learned after spending time in Kampung Inggris and studying at PC, I have learned many things. First, I learned that learning English needs practice. We cannot become fluent just by memorizing grammar. We need to use English. We need to speak. We need to listen. We need to read. And we need to practice again and again. Second, I learned that mistakes are not our enemies. Mistakes can help us improve. When we make mistakes, we can find out what we need to learn. Third, I've learned that confidence is important. We do not need to wait until our English is perfect before speaking. We can speak now and improve step by step. Step by step. Step by step. Okay. Fourth, I learned how to be more independent. Living away from home teaches me to manage myself and my time. And finally, I learned that the environment can influence us. When we are surrounded by people who want to learn, we can become more motivated. When I remember my first day in Paris, I can feel the difference. At first, it was I was nervous. I was afraid of making mistakes. I was not sure about my speaking ability, but now I feel more comfortable. Alhamdulillah. I can speak more confidently. I can talk with new people. I can practice English without thinking too much about my mistakes. Of course, I still have many things to improve. My English is not perfect. My pronunciation is not perfect. My grammar is not perfect. And my vocabulary is still limited. But I do not want to compare myself with other people. I want to compare with myself with the person I was before coming here. And I think I have made progress. Maybe the progress is small, but small progress is still progress. Okay? Small progress it is still progress. In high school program, high school friends, small progress every day. High school friend, small progress every day. My hope, my hope for the future. I hope my experience in Pare will become an important part of my life. I hope I can continue improving my English after I leave this place. I do not want to stop learning when my course finishes. I want to continue practicing. I want to speak English more often. I want to watch English videos or English movie. I want to listen to English songs and conversations. And I want to communicate with people from different countries. I also have a dream to travel to many countries in the future. Because of that, English is very important for me. I want to be able to communicate when I travel. I want to make friends from other countries. I want to learn about different cultures and I want to become a more confident person. Maybe one day I will look back at my experience in Paris and say, this was one of the important steps in my life. So that is my first impression of Kampung Inggris Pare and my experience studying at PC. When I first arrived here, I felt excited, serious, and nervous. I did not know what would happen, but now I feel grateful that I decided to come here. I have I have met new people, I have met new friends, I have learned from my teachers, I have practiced English, I have made mistakes, and I have learned from those mistakes. More importantly, I have learned about myself. I learned that I can do things that I was afraid to do. I learned that I can speak English even when I am not perfect. I learned that being independent can be difficult, but it can also make us and stronger. And I learned that every experience can teach us something. For me, Kampung English is not only a place to learn English, it is also a place to learn about life. This is not only a place where I study grammar and vocabulary, it is also a place where I practice confidence, communication, discipline, and independence. I know that my English journey is still long. There are still many things that I need to learn, but I'm happy because I have started. I will continue learning, I will continue practicing, I will continue making mistakes, and I will continue improving because I believe that we do not have to be perfect to start. We just have to start, keep trying, and never give up. I'm very grateful for my experience in Kampung Inggris Pare, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to study at BC. I hope that one day, when I look back at this experience, I will remember not only the lessons, but also the people, the friendships, the funny moments, the difficult moments, and all the memories that I made here. This is my journey, this is my experience, and this is only the beginning of my English journey. Thank you very much for listening. Have a nice day. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.